Hello, are you ready to learn for today?
Kinds of parallelogram. This is just a follow-up. Ayan, mas kilala natin itong kinds of parallelogram as special parallelograms. At ito nga yung tatlo, rhombus, rectangle, at square. Anyway, to start, let's have the first property. This is opposite sides are parallel. So, kanino ba present itong property na to? Tignan natin. This is how we define a parallelogram. Opposite sides are parallel or what we call two pairs of parallel sides. So this is what we call a parallelogram. But since both rectangle or all of these given special parallelograms, rectangle, rhombus, and square are all still parallelograms, therefore, property din nila yan. So aside from that, we still have these four different properties of parallelograms such as opposite angles are congruent, opposite sides are congruent, consecutive angles are supplementary, and diagonals bisect each other. Yung apat na property na yan ay property ng isang parallelogram at dahil parallelogram nga si rectangle, rhombus at square, ibig sabihin present yung apat na properties na yan kahit sa kanilang tatlo. So these properties from 1 to 5 are all properties of parallelograms and also properties of a special parallelogram. So lahat sila may check. But as we continue with number 6, we have here four right angles. This is actually how we define a rectangle. But since present pa rin naman yung four right angles sa square, so may check pa rin siya dyan. And not necessarily a parallelogram will be already having four right angles unless rectangle siya. Hindi rin to present pagdating sa rhombus. Kasi ang rhombus ay itong number 7. Siya yung merong four congruent side. That is how we define a rhombus, not a rectangle and not a parallelogram as well. Although, having four congruent sides is also present in a given square, di ba? Pag square, meron din naman yung four congruent sides. So, may check din siya dyan. And number 8, we have diagonals are perpendicular. Saan ba natin binanggit yung property na yan? Yes, kay rhombus yung property na yan. So, pag sinabi natin diagonals are perpendicular, that is when you will be having, yan, sa rhombus, di ba? Kapag ka nag-intersect yung dalawang diagonal, they will form 90 degrees. And that is also present on a given square. So, kaya pare silang may check. 'Di ba? Ang properties ng square is both of the properties combined by the rectangle and the rhombus. Next, diagonals or a diagonal bisect a pair of opposite angles. Kaninong property yan? That is a property of a rhombus as well as a square, syempre. So, diagonal bisect opposite angles. Yan ay property ni rhombus. Hindi yan natin binanggit pagdating kay rectangle. And last, we have diagonals are congruent. That is a property of a rectangle. And as you can see, also a property of a square. So in summary, the first five properties that you have seen here or you were able to answer here are all properties of a regular parallelogram. Lahat yan parte kahit na siya ay special parallelogram. Properties nila lahat yan. Applicable sa kanilang lahat yan. Except this number 6 to 10 because each of these properties only unique with a given special parallelogram. That is that is the reason why special parallelograms yung tawag sa kanila kasi meron silang mga unique properties na katulad nito. At kung titignan nyo nga kay square, siya ang pinaka-unique kasi nasa kanya lahat ng properties, even both of the properties coming from a rectangle and a rhombus. Anyway, as we may continue, let's have this first special parallelogram na i-review natin for today. And this is gonna be the rectangle. So in the rectangle FILE, to start, let's have this given question. If the measurement of diagonal FL is gonna be 15, ano sa tingin nyo ang sukat ng diagonal IE? Sige, 15. So you're correct. Because in a rectangle, sabi nga kanina sa property niya, diagonals are congruent. Yan yung number 10 kanina sa table natin. Because whatever the measurement of the one diagonal, it is also the same measurement of the other diagonal. So both of them will be equal to 15. Next. Oh, ito yung scenario. If the measurement of side FE is gonna be 4.5 and the measurement of side EL is gonna be 16.5, the question is, what is the perimeter of the rectangle FILE? Ngayon, madali lang to sana sagutan kung alam natin yung idea ng perimeter. Pero I think familiar naman kayo with the perimeter. Balikan lang natin. Pag sinabi yung perimeter, it is the sum of all the sides of a given polygon. Pag inad mo lahat ng measurements ng side ng polygon, yun ang tinatawag nating perimeter. Pero madali lang sana to kung lahat ng sides present. Which is hindi naman mahirap hanapan ng values because we know that in a parallelogram, opposite sides are congruent and rectangle is a parallelogram. That means if this is gonna be 4.5, 4.5 din si IL. If this side EL is gonna be 16.5, 16.5 din si side FI. That means it will now be easier for us to solve for the perimeter because once again, perimeter is only the sum of all the length of each side of a given polygon. In this case, we have a rectangle. And kumpleto na lahat ng sides natin. So, i-add lang natin siya as 4.5 plus 4.5 plus 16.5 plus 16.5 which will give us a sum equivalent to, very good, that's the correct answer. Or just to be complete, it's gonna be equivalent to 42 units. Ayan. So, basta perimeter, mapa-rectangle, mapa-square, mapa-triangle, basta sided polygon yan, kahit ilang sides, i-add lang natin lahat ng measurements ng sides niya. That is what we mean by the word perimeter. Next, let's proceed with the angles naman inside a given rectangle or this given rectangle. Assuming that the measurement of this angle is gonna be 55 degrees, let's identify the following angle. Let's start with the measurement of angle 3. So kung ito daw angle 4 is gonna be 55 degrees, ano daw ang sukat ni angle 3? Sige, if you know the answer or if you want to guess the answer, you can type your answer on the chat box. Ano sa tingin nyo? Anong hula nyo? O sige, para matulungan ko kayo, kasi iisa lang naman yung property pagdating sa angles sa isang rectangle. Bukod pa yan sa properties ng parallelogram, syempre. So yung binanggit natin dito sa rectangle is that a rectangle has four right angles. That means all of the angles present in a rectangle are right angle. And kung nasa isip mo na ang sukat nitong angle 3 ay 55 degrees din, hindi pwede. Kasi wala naman tayong property ni rectangle na diagonals bisect opposite angles. That means, hindi hinahati ng diagonal na to si 90 degrees. At kahit hatiin niya yan, 45 degrees ang kalahati ng 90. Hindi 55. So, hindi applicable yung property na yun because ang property na yun ay para sa square at sa rhombus lamang. Pero magagamit natin yung idea na ang measurement ng angle na yan, which includes angle 3 and angle 4, will be 90 degrees. Kasi kung ito 55 degrees at pinagsama mo yung angle 3 at angle 4 at ang sum nila ay 90 degrees, ibig sabihin, para makuha mo yung sukat ng angle 3, subtract mo lang yung 55 degrees sa 90. That is why, yan. So, ang tamang sagot natin ay 35 degrees. Next, let's proceed with angle 1. Ano sa tingin niyo yung sukat nito? Burahin ko lang, alam naman natin na rectangle yan eh. So, 90 degrees yan lahat. Anyway, anong sukat nito? What do you think is the measurement of angle 1? Let me give you a clue. By the property diagonals bisect each other, we can say that this segments formed by the diagonals are all congruent. Ibig sabihin magkakaparehas ng sukat yan, apat na yan. Kay rectangle lang unique yung property na yan. Siyempre, ganun din kay square. But what do you think is the measurement? So if you answered 35 degrees, your answer is correct. But why? Bakit kaya siya naging 35 degrees din? The reason is, if I may highlight this given triangle na na-form ng intersection ng dalawang diagonals natin, kung mapapansin ninyo, ito ay isang isosceles triangle. Ang ibig sabihin niyan, pagka inayos ko yung pagkakasulat sa kanya or pagkakadrawing sa kanya, para siyang ganitong triangle na kung saan yung dalawang sides ay congruent. That's why we call it isosceles. So kapag isosceles triangle, may tinatawag tayong isosceles triangle theorem, wherein if two two sides of a given isosceles triangle are congruent, that means their opposite angles are also congruent. Ibig sabihin, sa isosceles triangle, congruent yung dalawang base angle natin. So, magkapares ng sukat sa angle 1 at saka sa angle 3. Kaya pares silang 35 degrees. Okay, next. Proceed tayo with angle 2. What do you think is the measurement of angle 2? You will use the triangle sum theorem, wherein as you can see, yung naka-highlight ng kulay yellow dyan ay isang triangle. At ang idea ng triangle sum theorem is that if you add all the measurements of the angles of a or the measurements of the interior angles of a triangle, it will sum up into 180 degrees. Ayan. That means, kapag ka-inad mo yan sa angle 1, angle 2, at angle 3, they will be equal to 180 degrees. And we already have a clue kasi meron na tayong 35 degrees para kay angle 1 at 35 degrees para kay angle 3. So add mo lang yan, that's gonna be equal to 70, and subtract it from 180, you will get 110 degrees. So that means angle 2 will be measuring 110 degrees. Yan. So gumamit lang tayo ng, yan, tawag natin dyan triangle sum theorem. Next, let's proceed with the last angle or numbered angle given here. So what do you think is the measurement of this angle 5? Yan. So, ang tawag natin dyan kay angle 2 at kay angle 5, anong tawag natin dyan? Yes, the answer is gonna be 110 degrees. But that is because they are what we call vertical angles. And vertical angles are congruent because of vertical angle theorem. VAT, vertical angle theorem. And as you can see on this given following examples, maraming applications yung idea na yan. Hindi nga lang yung dalawang properties na yun ang nagamit natin, kahit yung ibang properties ng parallelogram. But let's proceed with the idea of rhombus or the different properties given a special parallelogram rhombus. Para kasing last time, ang focus natin dito more on true or false lang, di ba? Hindi tayo masyadong nag-solve. Pero this time, magbigay na tayo ng mga values na present sa kanya. So in this given rhombus GEOM, given that the measurement of side GE is gonna be equal to 3.5, what do you think is the measurement of side EO? Ano daw ang sukat ni side EO? Ayan. So we have a property of a rhombus, or by definition, rhombus is a parallelogram with four congruent sides. Ibig sabihin lahat ng sides niyan pare-parehas ng sukat. So that means it will also measure 23.5, and all of the sides will be measuring 23.5 as well. Kaya kapag ka dito sa rhombus natin, tinanong yung perimeter, ilagay mo lang lahat yan, 23.5. And then i-add mo lang yung apat na 23.5. Ayun na yung perimeter niya. Gets po? Although hindi ko na ilalagay dito yung tanong na yun ha. Basta ganun yung idea. Kapag kukuhain mo yung perimeter ng rhombus na given na ito. Or 4 times 23.5. Kasi apat na 23.5 lang naman yan. Yan. Next, let's proceed to the next question. We have, if line segment ES is gonna be measuring 18, what is the measurement of, I think this one is diagonal EM. Ayan. So, kung ang sukat daw ng line segment ES ay 18, ano naman daw ang sukat ng buong diagonal na si EM? Okay, so magagamit natin dito yung diagonal bisect each other. So if this is gonna be 18, 18 din ito si SM. Pero ang tinatanong kasi yung buong diagonal. So i-add natin yung dalawang 18 na yan, and it will sum up into 36. Okay, next. Aside from that, meron din tayong mga angles na present sa loob ng isang rhombus. Una na nga dyan is itong angle na to, which is angle ESO. So class, what do you think is the measurement of angle ESO? Ano daw yung sukat ng angle na ito? Ayan, we know that a property of a rhombus is that diagonals are perpendicular. So what do we mean by that? Lahat ng angles na nabuo upon the intersection of the diagonals are right angles. That means since they are right angles, they will be measuring 90 degrees. So, okay, proceed tayo with the other angles present in this given rhombus. Ayan. So, wala tayong masyadong ganito eh. Sa examples lang ata ako nakapagbigay. Anyway, given that this angle GEO measures 40 degrees, ang sukat daw niya ay 40 degrees, let's identify the measurement of the rest given numbered angles. So, let's start with angle 1. Class, ano sa tingin niyo yung measurement nitong angle 1 natin? Since angle GEO is gonna be 40 degrees, ayan, ang susundan natin property dito is diagonals bisect opposite angles. So, if the whole angle GEO measures 40 degrees, tama ang sagot ninyo, si angle 1 ay magiging 20 degrees. Ganun din si angle 2. Tig 20 degrees sila. And since opposite angles in a parallelogram are congruent, and since rhombus is a parallelogram as well, this will also measure 40 degrees. What do we mean by that? Ibig sabihin, si angle 3 at si angle 4 ay magiging tig 20 degrees din. Paano natin kukuhain unang-una na dyan si angle 5? How do we get the measurement of angle 5? Now, let me give you a clue. Siguro kapag nakuha ko yung sukat nito, ang pinagsamang angle 5 at angle 6, which is angle or the measurement of angle EGM, kapag nakuha ko yung sukat niyan, pwede ko ring hatiin na katulad ng ginawa natin dito kay 40 degrees, di ba? But the problem is, paano natin siya kukuhain? How do we get the measurement of that angle that contains angle 5 and angle 6? Ang gagamitin mong idea dyan, yan, so bigyan ko kayo ng clue. Di ba itong si angle GEO, which is 40 degrees, yan ang given natin, is consecutive with this angle EGM? At sa isang parallelogram na katulad ng rhombus na ito, consecutive angles are supplementary. Ibig sabihin, pag inad ko yung angle GEO, which is equivalent to 40 degrees, plus the measurement of angle EGM, ito, EGM, ang sum niyan 180 degrees because they are consecutive, they are supplementary. So, ang tanong na lang dyan, ano bang sukat niyang angle EGM para pag inad ko siya sa 40 degrees, ang sagot 180 or 180 degrees. What you can do is to just subtract 180 minus 40 and you will get 140 degrees. Tama. So that means angle EGM measures 140 degrees. So ang tanong na ngayon diyan, ano nang sukat ni angle 5? Since we already identified angle EGM, therefore, angle 5 will be measuring 70 degrees, kalahati ni 140. Ganun din sa angle 6, 70 degrees. At since opposite angles of a parallelogram are congruent, that means angle 7 and angle 8 will be both 70 degrees as well. And to have our last special parallelogram, let's have our square. So in this given square BASE, ito ang mga sumusunod na tanong. First, if the side AS measures 25, what is the area of the square BASE? Oh, nako, hindi naman to perimeter. Area naman yung tinatanong. Okay lang sana to kung kabisado natin. Hindi naman kayo nagkakamali kung ang nasa isip nyo is 25 lahat ng sides na yan. Yes, all the sides of a square are congruent and it has 4 right angles as well. But it does not mean that area, it does not mean na kapag tinatanong yung area, isa-add mo rin yung lahat ng sides. Ibig sabihin walang pagkakaiba yung area at saka perimeter. Hindi ganoon. Magkaiba si area at saka si perimeter. Ang nakuha nyo, kung ang nakuha nyo ay 100, ay hindi area. Perimeter ang nakuha ninyo. We have a different formula when it comes to an area. At kung babalikan natin yung lesson natin ng elementary, grade 6 about the areas of different polygons such as square, ang formula ng square ay side squared or side times side. So that means, how do we compute for the value of the area of the square? Since ang value ng side natin is 25, all we need to do is to square 25. Or in other words, you multiply 25 times 25. That's side times side. And that's gonna be equivalent to, yan, tama, it's gonna be 625 square units. Ayan. So next, let's have the second one. Punta naman tayo sa mga angles na present sa loob ng isang square. So class, what do you think is the measurement of angle 3? Ano kayang sukat nito? Ilang degrees ang sukat niyan? Just like a rhombus, a square also has the property that diagonals are perpendicular. That means all of the angles formed upon the intersection of the diagonals will be a right angle which measures 90 degrees. So the measurement of angle 3 is gonna be 90 degrees. So very good class. Let's proceed with angle 4. Ano daw sa tingin nyo ang sukat nitong angle 4? Ayan. Bigyan ko kayo ng clue. In a square, we have 4 right angles. Ayan. So I think nabanggit ko to last meeting about the square. It also contains the property of the rhombus wherein the diagonals divides the opposite angle into two congruent angles. So that means if this is gonna be 90 degrees as a whole, itong angle 4 will be 45 degrees, kalahati. Kasi yung isa pang kalahati niya is nandito, which is also 45 degrees. And that is applicable for all of the angles formed by the diagonals. They are all 45 degrees. Kasi na-divide yan yung tig 90 degrees. Ayan, so 45 silang lahat. That means, if I ask you class, what's gonna be the measurement or the sum of the measurements of angle 1 and angle 2, or in other words, what is measurement of angle 1 plus measurement of angle 2 equal to? Kanina yan equal. Pag pinag-add mo daw yung sukat ni angle 1 at ni angle 2, anong sagot? Nakalagay na yung measurements nila. Magkakamali ka na lang dyan pagka nagkamali ka pa ng add, which is 45 plus 45, which is equal to 90 degrees. I hope you understand the lesson for today. Until next time, bye!